The air in the studio shifts. The laughter from the audience fades just slightly, as if they too are waiting for what comes next. The host, still grinning, leans back in their chair, satisfied that they have set the tone. This is what they do: turn interviews into entertainment, reduce powerful figures into punchlines. But Melania Trump doesn't react. She doesn't rush to fill the silence. She lets it stretch, lets it breathe, lets the weight of the question settle. The host's smirk falters just a bit. They were expecting a quick deflection, a laugh, maybe a rehearsed response. Instead, Melania simply tilts her head, her gaze steady, unwavering. "I wonder," she says finally, her voice calm, measured, "if you would ask the same question to a man." The audience stiffens. A few murmurs ripple through the crowd, the kind of reaction that signals an unexpected shift. The host blinks, momentarily caught off guard, but quickly recovers. "Well," they chuckle, "it's just that many people feel you were more of a..." Melania lifts a hand, not in interruption, but in quiet command of the moment. "No," she says, her voice never rising, yet carrying a force that makes the room still. "You don't ask if a man wants power. You assume he deserves it." The laughter is gone now. The energy has changed. Melania exhales, slow and deliberate. "I have listened to people like you for years. People who believe that if a woman is elegant, she cannot be intelligent. If she is soft-spoken, she cannot be strong. If she's married to a powerful man, then her own identity must not exist." The host, for the first time, does not have a quip ready. Melania leans in slightly, her eyes locked onto theirs. "You ask if I wanted the job, but the real question is, why do you think I need your approval to do it?" The silence is absolute. The audience is no longer laughing. The host is no longer smiling. And Melania Trump has just taken complete control. The shift in the room is undeniable. The host, so accustomed to steering conversations, suddenly finds themselves navigating unfamiliar territory. The rhythm they rely on, jokes, interruptions, easy control, is slipping through their fingers. They attempt to regain it, forcing a light chuckle, leaning forward in their chair. "Well, Melania, I think what people really wonder is, what did you do as First Lady? Beyond the appearances, the magazine covers, what was the legacy?" The audience laughs, though this time it feels different, nervous, uncertain. The host smirks, thinking they've redirected the moment. They are used to people stumbling under pressure, scrambling to justify their worth. They expect hesitation, an attempt to defend. Melania does neither. She breathes in, slow and unshaken, before speaking. "Tell me," she says, her voice steady, "why do you assume that because I was not loud, I was not working?" The host falters, caught off guard again. She continues, unwavering. "You see, people like you think power is only real when it is visible, that a woman is only successful if she demands attention, that if she is not constantly explaining herself, she must have done nothing at all." The laughter in the room is completely gone now. The audience isn't just watching, they're realizing. Melania tilts her head slightly. "I did not need to be loud. I did not need to announce my work every day to the cameras, because I was doing something much more difficult. I was listening." The words land with quiet force. "For 4 years, I met children who had been forgotten, families who were struggling, women who had no voice of their own, and I helped them, not because it made headlines, but because it was right." The host shifts in their seat. This is not the version of the interview they planned. Melania's voice remains composed. "Tell me, do you only believe in change when it is loud? Or does it count when it happens in silence, away from cameras, away from applause?" The audience sits motionless. The power dynamic has completely changed. The host opens their mouth to speak, but for the first time they have no words, and Melania Trump is just getting started. The silence lingers, stretching just long enough for the weight of Melania's words to settle. The host, once so comfortable, in control, now looks uncertain. They had expected deflection, expected an attempt to soften the moment. Instead, they have been met with something far more dangerous: undeniable truth. The host clears their throat, forcing another chuckle. Well, Melania, you certainly have a way with words. But let's be real. Many people felt that your best campaign was nothing more than a PR move, a vague initiative that never really accomplished much. The audience chuckles, some nodding in agreement. The host relaxes, sensing an opportunity to reclaim the upper hand. They lean forward, the smirk returning. I mean, when people think of first ladies making an impact, they think of major policies, bold action. Do you really believe Be Best changed anything? A pause. Melania exhales, slow and measured, before responding. I wonder, she muses, her voice carrying no anger, only certainty, if the children I met would agree with you. The room stills. She doesn't blink, doesn't waver. You see, people like you think change only matters if it is immediate, if it makes headlines, if it fits into a soundbite. But tell me, have you ever sat with a child who has been bullied to the point of believing they do not belong in this world? Have you ever looked into the eyes of a mother who doesn't know how to protect her child from the cruelty of others? The host frowns slightly, their smirk fading. I have. The audience is utterly silent. I have heard their stories, I have listened to their pain, and I have fought to give them the resources they need, not because it made news, but because it mattered. And if you think that is not enough, then I have only one question for you. She tilts her head, her gaze unwavering. How many children have you helped? The host stammers, caught between words, searching for an escape. There is none. Melania leans back, poised as ever. If your measure of success is how many cameras are watching, then no, I did not succeed by your standards. But if success is measured by the lives that were changed, then I have nothing to explain to you. The audience erupts into applause, and for the first time, the host is left speechless. The applause rolls through the studio, unexpected and undeniable. It is no longer polite, no longer obligatory. It is real. The host, for the first time, does not bask in it. They shift slightly, their confidence now a fragile thing, cracking under the weight of the moment. But Melania does not move. She does not gloat. She does not smirk. She simply waits, composed, letting the silence reclaim the room. The host, desperate to regain control, forces a laugh, one that does not land the way it usually does. Well, Melania, they say, their voice lighter now, an attempt to steer the moment back into familiar territory. You have to admit, though, your time in the White House was unconventional. Many felt you were distant. You didn't always engage with the media the way other first ladies did. Some would even say you avoided it. The audience chuckles again, relieved by the shift, but Melania is unfazed. She nods once as if she expected this. You are right, she says simply. I did not engage in the way others wanted me to. The host raises an eyebrow, encouraged. So you agree? Melania exhales, tilting, her head slightly. I agree that I did not give you what you wanted. The smile on the host's face flickers. You see, she continues, her voice calm but cutting. People believe that attention is power. That the more someone speaks, the more they must know. That the louder they are, the more they must matter. The audience is quiet again. I do not believe in noise, she says, her voice unwavering. I believe in action, and I have never needed a headline to tell me my worth. The host opens their mouth to respond, but Melania isn't finished. You say I was distant, perhaps. Or perhaps I simply refused to entertain the people who did not truly want to listen. The host sits back, suddenly realizing what has happened. The power dynamic has shifted completely. Melania Trump is not playing by their rules. She is playing by her own. And for the first time, the host understands. This is not their moment. It is hers. The realization settles over the room like a slow-moving storm. The host, once the master of the conversation, now finds themselves a spectator. The laughter has died. The audience is no longer waiting for a punchline. They are waiting for her. The host exhales, attempting to regain composure. Melania, you talk about refusing to entertain the media, but let's be honest. Being in the public eye comes with responsibility. Don't you think that, as First Lady, you had an obligation to be more present? There it is again. Another attempt to frame her as passive, as absent, as someone who failed to meet expectations she never set for herself. But she does not blink. I have always been present, she replies, her voice smooth, unwavering. But tell me, what is it that truly bothers you? That I did not perform for you? That I did not play the role you wrote for me? The host falters, the question catching them off guard. She tilts her head slightly. People say I was not visible enough. But I wonder, how many of them ever stop to ask why? The audience leans in. You see, I watched, she continues. I watched how the media built up women only to tear them down. I watched how a woman's worth was measured by how much attention she could command, not by her character, not by her work, but by how well she fit the image others wanted. The host shifts, no longer smiling. I have seen how the world treats women who do not beg to be seen, and I decided long ago I would never beg. A murmur ripples through the audience. The weight of her words is undeniable. She leans in, slightly, her voice softer but somehow even more powerful. So I ask you, do you believe a woman's value is in how much she gives of herself to the public? Or is it in how much she keeps for herself? The host has no immediate response. The audience is still. Melania nods once. I chose to keep myself. The room erupts into applause, but this time it is different. It is not just appreciation. It is respect. The host, visibly outmatched, forces a grin, but they know. They have lost control of this conversation. And Melania Trump has just redefined everything. The applause swells, rolling through the room like a wave no one saw coming. It is no longer just polite acknowledgement. It is recognition, a realization that something significant has happened. The host, who has built their career on controlling the tempo of conversations, now finds themselves searching for footing on shifting ground. They force a smile, attempting to reclaim authority. Well, Melania, you certainly have a way with words. But let's be real. Your silence over the years has left people with questions. There are those who think you were simply detached, that you didn't care about the role. The audience chuckles, relieved by the familiar rhythm. But the laughter is thinner now, uncertain. The host leans in slightly as if trying to reinforce control. So, tell me, did you care? Melania takes a measured breath, tilting her head as if considering the question carefully. But she already knows her answer. You assume that because I was quiet, I did not care, she says, her voice calm but cutting. But tell me, when? Has true strength ever been proven by noise? The audience is silent once more. She continues, her words steady, deliberate. I did not spend my time in front of cameras. I spent it where I was needed. But people like you do not believe in work unless it is visible to you. You do not believe in kindness unless it is broadcasted. You do not believe in power unless it is loud. The host shifts, visibly uncomfortable. Melania leans in slightly. Tell me, if a woman chooses to do her work in silence, is it the work that bothers you? Or the fact that she did not ask for your approval? A murmur ripples through the room. The host exhales, grasping for control, but they are losing their grip. Melania's voice remains unwavering. You ask if I cared. I ask, why do you believe that the only women who care are the ones who seek your attention? The host stares at her, caught between words. They do not have an answer. Melania straightens, composed, unshaken. I have always cared. I just never needed you to see it. The audience erupts into applause, no longer unsure, no longer hesitant. The host, speechless, simply sits back. And Melania Trump has just rewritten the conversation entirely. The applause is no longer just a reaction, it is a statement. The audience has shifted. What started as an interview designed to challenge and corner Melania Trump has turned into something no one predicted. The host, once so comfortable in control, now sits back, their usual confidence replaced with something else. Something that looks a lot like realization. Melania remains poised, unfazed, watching as the noise swells and then slowly begins to fade. The host, still searching for an opportunity to reclaim authority, forces a tight smile. "Well, Melania," they say, their voice lighter now, their tone stripped of its earlier condescension. "It's clear you have a different way of seeing things. But tell me, do you have any regrets?" It is one last attempt to regain the upper hand. One final question meant to pull her into the space they control. She exhales slowly, tilts her head slightly, and answers in the simplest, most devastating way possible. "No." The host blinks. The audience holds its breath. She continues, her voice as calm and steady as it has been from the beginning. "I have learned that regret belongs to those who live for the approval of others. I do not." The response lands with quiet finality. She shifts slightly, her posture as composed as ever. "I have spent my life being told who I should be, but I have never been interested in their version of me. I know who I am, and I am at peace with that." The host has nothing left to say. The power in the room has fully shifted. This is no longer their moment. It is hers. The applause returns, louder this time, rising to its full force. Not just polite, not just respectful. It is the sound of acknowledgement, of recognition. Melania does not soak it in. She does not linger. She simply nods once, gracefully, then stands. The host watches, still processing what just happened. The cameras flash, capturing the moment that will soon dominate headlines, trending across platforms. Melania Trump leaves talk show host speechless. The most powerful response no one saw coming. A masterclass in strength and grace. And Melania? She doesn't need to read the headlines, because some victories don't need explanations. Some moments speak for themselves, and this was one of them.